The minute you step outside of the bunker in the opening of Atomfall, you know you're stepping into a world full of mystery and interesting things to find. Atomfall has received a lot of comparisons over its time building up to launch, and even now, as it's been out, people are still calling it the British Fallout, or something kind of along those lines. But while it definitely has that look that parallels with Fallout, I don't think its gameplay really is anything like Fallout or similar RPGs of its kind. To me, the best comparison I can make with it is a bit more niche, but if I had to pick a game that's closest to it, it would be The Forgotten City. Atomfall is a tad bit bigger in scope, size, and world than the former Skyrim mod turned indie darling, The Forgotten City, but to me this is the best comparison I can make to what you will be doing in the game. Discovery is at the heart of Atomfall, and so for that reason my footage is much of the early areas, and I really recommend going into this one with as little knowledge of the game as possible, because much of its charm and fun is finding the little notes and messages and the people that you talk to in the world that unlocks new leads and mysteries to follow and solve as you beat the game. The game is divided up into smallish open zones that allow you to walk and explore them, finding loot, materials, weapons, notes, and other things that will help you along the way. It took me roughly 8 hours to get one of the game's endings, and I think there are 6 different options, so I definitely want to return to it in the future to try for another ending. Combat was my least favorite part of this game. As you first hop in, the combat seems to fall in line kind of with those hardcore realistic combat, something like Stalker or Metro 2033, but quickly I felt like its difficulty was simply because the game is clunky. I found it to be more frustrating than not, and I played this on the recommended difficulty setting, which was the second hardest option they provide. In what feels like it's supposed to be a survival-esque feeling game similar to scrounging for resources in Resident Evil or managing ammo in Metro 2033, I really never felt like I was struggling for anything other than the fact that I couldn't pick up more loot because I was full on everything. So there was a lot of stuff that I just kept walking by because I was just full on inventory. Maybe the more difficult setting would have required more managing of my weapons and loot, but it never really felt like this was a challenge for me to overcome. Similar to how The Forgotten City was focused on solving the mysteries, this was the bread and butter of Atomfall. Your quest log was a list of leads, each giving you a vague objective, and by finding the notes in the world that gave you more context, or to talking to people who could give you a hint or two about the world, you added to your notes, and then they all intertwined in really interesting ways, and it kind of felt like this open-ended, you could really take any path you want and do whatever you wanted to in any order, and those paths could all lead you towards the end goal. I really enjoyed discovering the world they built and finding all the little secrets and things that they hid along the path. From the moment you step out, you're blasted with this really gorgeous landscape. This game is very pretty. The world is well designed and the game ran like butter. I never dipped below 120 FPS on my 2070 Ti at high settings. On top of being gorgeous, the setting, where it kind of gets its Fallout comparison, is a 50s to 60s retro futuristic hybrid in the middle of an apocalypse kind of world, you know how the Fallout games. But they put their unique spin on it, and I feel like it makes it its 100% its own thing, and it really doesn't feel like a Fallout game, even though it does really look like one. It was an absolute delight to explore the entirety of this world. There was lots of little nooks and crannies, hidden little places you could go into, buildings to search through. It was really fun. Outside of the zones, you come across various factions of humans. They shoot at you, you shoot at them. It was pretty general stuff. And like I said about the combat, it felt very clunky to me. There were many times where, you know, a bunch of people would jump on you at once and they insta-kill you. Maybe this was the hardcore aspect of it that they were going for, but to me it just felt really clunky, and the weapons are real clunky, and especially melee. I really thought melee was very clunky to deal with, and if you had one or two of them on top of you, you were gonna die if you didn't run away. There are a few creatures you come across as well. These felt like the most trouble to me because they were a bit tankier than humans, and they would just jump on you and try and, you know, swipe at you, and it was very hard to deal with melee weapons, or if you were trying to shoot them. It just felt really clunky to me. The big robots were the threatening force that you had to deal with in some of the areas, and oftentimes they would kill you the second they saw you. These were definitely the scariest enemies because you had to really work on sneaking around them or dealing with them, but it was pretty tough to deal with. Voice acting in this, for the main characters you deal with, it was great. They were really good. I liked a lot of the voices. They all were very authentic. But the voice acting for Random Outlaw number 24, it was pretty bad. One time I even came across an outlaw that literally sounded like a person couldn't get too loud while they were recording and were whisper yelling the lines into the mic. And to me, this isn't really that big of a problem. I don't care that much to be like, knock it down a bunch of points because of that. I think it's funny, honestly, that it sounded like that, and so I just wanted to point that out. In conclusion, Atomfall was a gorgeous bite-sized package that provided a rewarding and satisfying experience to uncover the mystery of the zone. Despite its clunky combat and forgettable light RPG mechanics, I really enjoyed this. If you enjoy games in the immersive sim realm and can tolerate a clunky combat, but you really enjoy, going through trying to solve the mysteries, looking for the notes to lead on to your quest and kind of intertwine all the quests together to get to one of the endings, and the rest of the game is a good time and well worth dipping into.